In the early 1950s, Iran stood at a crossroad. Emerging from decades of foreign influences, the country looked for a way to reclaim control over its political systems and natural resources. Although Iran had never formally been colonized, Britain and other political powers held immense control over its economy, especially its oil industry. In 1951, Mohammad Mossadegh became Iran's prime minister, lawfully and fairly, and quickly gained widespread popularity and support due to his commitment to democracy and national independence. At the center of the conflict was oil. Iran's oil industry was controlled by the British-owned Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, which provided minimal profits to Iran while gaining vast wealth overseas. Mossadegh's decision to nationalize Iran's oil represented an effort to restore economic independence and political authority. Many Iranians viewed this reform as a way to end decades of foreign exploitation. However, this challenge to British interests occurred during the Cold War, when global tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union heightened fear around the stability of the Middle East. Many people believed if one country fell into Soviet control, all of them would. Britain and the United States viewed Mossadegh not only as a threat to economic interests, but also as a potential risk to Western influence in a vital region. In 1953, those fears led to a direct intervention. The United States and Britain orchestrated Operation TPA-JAX, a covert operation that overthrew Mossadegh and restored Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi to power. CIA documents confirm that the coup was actively planned and executed by the U.S. government, not just supported from afar. According to CIA records, responsibility for planning and executing TPA-JAX fell to the Near East and Africa Division, the NEA, in the Directorate of Plans, DDP. The operation was overseen by Kermit Kim Roosevelt, a CIA officer and grandson of President Theodore Roosevelt. His background in the Middle Eastern affairs and close cooperation with British intelligence made him a key figure in coordinating the coup. These documents serve as an official acknowledgement that the United States intervened on purpose to remove Iran's democratically elected leader. Although the coup was framed as a defense against communism, its outcome replaced a constitutional government with an authoritarian monarchy backed by the Western powers. Democratic institutions were weakened and political power became concentrated in the hands of the Shah. This moment caused a reaction that led to Iranian reform and also fundamentally altered Iran's political trajectory. From the Iranian perspective, the coup was seen as a profound betrayal. Many Iranians felt that their right to self-govern was seized by foreign powers, turning Mohammad Mossadegh into a symbol of lost democracy. His overthrow served as a reminder of how external forces could override the will of the Iranian people. From the British viewpoint, the nationalization threatened their economic interests and imperial influence. Britain characterized its actions as essential for maintaining international order and protecting foreign investments, fearing that Iran's situation might ignite similar movements in other countries. For the Americas, Cold War anxieties heavily influenced their decision-making. U.S. officials justified their intervention as a means to curb Soviet expansion, even at the expense of Iranians' democratic process. This scenario highlights how global power dynamics often prioritize containment over the principle of self-determination. The Shah viewed the coup as a way to solidify his power. With American support, he initiated modernization programs. It relied significantly on repression, censorship, and the secret police, the Savak, to put an end to protests. Later, CIA documents revealed that the United States not only backed the Shah politically, but also funded and trained his military and security forces. Lastly, from a religious and revolutionary standpoint, the foreign-backed authoritarianism embodied moral corruption and national humiliation. Religious leaders, including Ayatollah, leveraged this narrative to motivate resistance, presenting the Shah as a puppet of Western powers and a symbol of cultural decay. Over the next 25 years, resentment grew. While the Shah promoted modernization, political freedoms disappeared and inequality widened. His white revolution, intended to westernize Iran through land reform, education, and women's rights, appeared progressive on the surface. However, historians note These reforms disrupted traditional life, displaced farmers, and concentrated wealth among the elites. The Shah's reliance on Savak, trained by the CIA and Israeli Mossad, created a climate of fear, torture, surveillance, and censorship, and they silenced anyone who opposed, but they did drive the resistance underground, radicalizing students, average people, and religious leaders. Many Iranians trace these conditions back to 1953, viewing the Shah as a symbol of American domination. By the late 1970s, mass protests united students, workers, and religious leaders. According to historian Stefan Zunes, the Iranian Revolution relied largely on nonviolent resistance, including strikes, demonstrations, and boycotts. Smuggled cassette tapes of Ayatollah Khomeini speeches spread the revolutionary ideas, leading one official to state that tape cassettes are stronger than fighter planes. In 1979, sustained resistance overthrew the Shah and established the Islamic Republic of Iran. The Iranian Revolution fundamentally transformed Iran, bringing both significant improvements and serious challenges. On the positive side, the revolution achieved one of its primary goals, ending a foreign-backed monarchy and restoring national sovereignty. For many Iranians, the fall of the Shah represented liberation from decades of political repression rooted in the 1953 coup. Iran regained control over its government, military, and natural resources, reinforcing a strong sense of independence and national pride. The revolution also expanded political participation among groups that had been marginalized under the Shah. Religious institutions gained influence, and ordinary citizens felt empowered by their role in overthrowing an authoritarian ruler. The new government invested in education and healthcare, increasing literacy rates and improving access to basic services, particularly in rural areas. However, the revolution also brought serious consequences. While it replaced a monarchy with a republic, it did not establish a fully democratic system. Political power became concentrated in the hands of religious authorities, and protesting was strictly restricted. Social freedoms, especially for women and minorities, were limited under strict religious laws. In many ways, the cycle of repression continued under a new form of authority. Internationally, the revolution isolated Iran. Anti-American sentiment intensified, symbolized by images of Iranians burning U.S. flags and by the Iranian hostage crisis, during which American citizens were held 444 days. This crisis represented a reaction to decades of U.S. interference and led to long-term sanctions that damaged Iran's economy and daily life. The downfall of Mohammad Mossadegh is a clear example of how foreign meddling can radically change the political course of a country. The 1953 coup not only encouraged long-term opposition and allowed tyranny to rule, but also took the hostilities towards the West and Iran to a new level by trapping democracy in blood. The Iranian Revolution was very much a gradual process, a revolution that had its roots in foreign meddling, a power struggle that lasted for decades without resolution. The story of Iran shows that when an outside power is imposed, opposition does not disappear. In fact, it often gets stronger, altering not only the characters of the nation, but also its future, sometimes in ways that brings both liberation and new challenges. This pattern is still very much present today, as many countries are still dealing with the impacts of foreign involvement. Modern-day interventions, whether military, economic, or political, causes still result in the same old backlash and lead to a rise of nationalism and resistance. Venezuela and Syria are among these nations where foreign activities are causing social disputes and reviving patriotic movements. In a world where interconnections make the stakes higher, the story of Iran should be taken as a warning. When the rulers are not the people's choice, the negative effects could last for generations, leading to conflicts and resistance. The fight for independence is as essential nowadays as it was in the past, showing the complexity of global politics and the fundamental rights of nations to decide their destiny.